Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back, chemistry. We're looking at redox reactions for this topic, topic 6, and in particular today we're looking at concepts of oxidation and reduction. So our learning objective is to learn that redox reactions involve a transfer of electrons from one species to another. They're made up of a reduction and oxidation reaction. So it's always a combination. For one to occur, the other has to be there as well, and that is why. So the reduction and the oxidation gives us the word redox. Okay. Where do we find redox reactions? In pretty well every organic or quite a lot of chemical reactions. Okay. The food we eat, cellular respiration, so when your body actually processes that food, that becomes a redox reaction. Corrosion is electrochemical oxidation, and rusting forms as a result of the oxidation of metals. As I said, redox reactions is the chemistry we're looking at the moment. Taking a step back, remembering chemistry is all about electrons and transfer of electrons and how the electrons move. Remember back to acid-base reactions where we had the transfer of hydrogen atoms or hydrogen ions between the reactants, the protons. We had conjugate acids, conjugate bases, so that always happened in pairs. The same with a redox reaction, will always happen in pairs as well. And redox reactions are all about electron transfer. We also look at hydrogen and oxygen transfer as well, but a redox reaction is very similar to the acid-base reaction. Cannot have one without the other. So again, redox, red is a reduction, ox is the oxidation, and it's the transfer of electrons from one substance to another. And these two processes occur at the same time. So, looking at reactant A has lost its electrons. Where's my mouse? Reactant A has lost its electrons to become an oxidized substance. Reactant B gains those electrons to become a reduced substance. So looking at a couple of definitions, oxidation can be defined as the addition of oxygen, the removal of hydrogen, and the loss of electrons, or the increase in oxidation number. And we will look at oxidation numbers in another video. For this one, we're looking at reduction. Reduction is defined as the removal of oxygen, the addition of hydrogen, or the loss of electrons. And either of those is classed as a reduction reaction. How do you remember it? When you're looking at the electrons, oil rig, or oxidation is loss, reduction is gain of electrons. And that mnemonic does help you work it out. So let's have a look at an example here. I've got a reaction of copper oxide with hydrogen to convert to copper solid and water. And in this reaction, the copper oxide is converted to copper solid by losing its oxygen. So therefore, it is a reduction reaction. The hydrogen gas is converted to water by a gain of oxygen, and so it is now an oxidation reaction. It's oxidized. When we're looking at oxygen transfer from one reactant to another reactant, the substance causing the reduction is called a reducing agent or the reductant, and the substance causing oxidation is an oxidizing agent or an oxidant. You may have heard of oxidizing agents, that language before. This is what it effectively means. So in terms of electrons, reactant A is losing its electrons. So this is oxidation. Reactant B causes the oxidation by taking the electrons and is the oxidizing agent. Conversely, reactant B gains electrons and is so reduced, and the reactant A causes a reduction by giving the electrons the reducing agent. This is a little confusing. You will need to try and remember it. Let's go back to some more definitions. So an oxidizing agent, oxidizer, or the oxidant is the substance that causes the oxidation of another substance. They take the electrons from the other reactant, and in itself it is reduced because it gains the electrons. A reducing agent or a reducer or a reductant is the opposite. It's a substance that causes a reduction of another substance. They give electrons to the other reactant. It is oxidized itself as it loses electrons. Let's have a look at some examples. I've got iron oxide. Okay? Reacts with carbon monoxide to form iron metal and carbon dioxide gas. What is oxidized? Okay? The carbon monoxide is oxidized in that it gains the oxygen. Who causes the oxidation? The iron oxide causes the carbon monoxide to be oxidized by supplying the oxygen. So, consequently, the oxidant is the iron oxide because it caused the carbon monoxide to be oxidized. So let's go on again. Which item was reduced? The iron oxide is reduced because it loses its oxygen. What caused that reduction? It was the carbon monoxide. So therefore the reductant was carbon monoxide because it caused the iron oxide to be reduced. So I've got the solutions on that slide as well, but try and go through and work that one out yourself. Some questions to go on with. I'll go through the first one with you, and then I'll stop this video and you can do the last few yourselves. So, identify the reactant that is oxidized and the reactant that is reduced in the following reaction. I've got iron oxide and aluminium forms iron and aluminium oxide. So, to gain the oxygen, that means the aluminium is oxidized, and the one that loses the oxygen is the iron. Okay, the remainder of the reactions, I've got water forming hydrogen and oxygen gas. I've got the burning of methane in oxygen to perform carbon dioxide and water, and then we've got the reaction of zinc metal with hydrogen gas, hydrogen ions or acid to form a zinc in solution plus hydrogen gas. Okay, so work those out and we'll go through those in the next lesson. Thank you.